Hey folks, MasakoX here. December heralds another story that is sometimes described as a holiday miracle. This has been something that the fandom has wondered about for decades. But you see, Haverock, Sophie and I, we didn't reckon that it would be as straightforward as you might have thought. Bardock isn't a very nice person. And whilst he was a very skilled warrior, we didn't believe that he was the kind of father figure that Goku would have expected. And Goku wasn't the kind of son that Bardock had expected. Because he wasn't all that bothered about his Saiyan heritage at the time until very recently. Goku was just not curious about it, or aware even that his father looked like him.
Today's video is sponsored by Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. Happy holidays everyone, and Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co today's products are the holiday products for you. They are snack subscription boxes. With Sakura Co, you will receive 20 traditional, authentic, and artisan Japanese snacks, including one type of Japanese tea and one special type of Japanese tableware with your box every month. Very nice. With their Tochigi Tradition box this month, Sakura Co invites you to try the region's specialty lemon yokan and strawberry tiramisu biscuits. All of course supporting local Japanese snack makers who continue to share their Japanese culture and traditions that have been passed down for over 100 years. And don't get me started on the Tokyo Treat box. You'll receive up to 20 exclusive limited edition and seasonal snacks from Japan, and this month, get ready to sample Santa's Snack Fest. In of course this very snazzy holiday themed box. Such delights include winter caramel pocky, milk tea Kit Kats and much more. But whatever you get, both boxes give you a useful guidebook that clues you in on Japanese culture, as well as important nutritional information. I've gotten these boxes all through 2022 and it's been so fascinating to see Japanese tastes develop throughout the year. With this special offer, you can get $5 off your first Sakura Co or Tokyo Treat box by using the code MasakoX at checkout. And also a chance to experience Japan in person, because they're giving away free tickets to Japan. Click the links below for more information. Thanks for watching, and back to the video.
Bardock's overview of his revival, thanks to Goku throwing him a bone, was not a glowing one. Great, okay? He was alive again, away from HFIL, but now what? Nobody had had a concrete answer prepared for him. All he had to go on was that he was now going to live with Kakarot and his family. And that was it. More time spent aimlessly doing stuff. He hated it. After getting to his son's house, Chi-Chi pointed out the newly readjusted kitchen area and the extra bed that had been added for him. "This is for you, Bardock." The old man grunted and hated the open plan arrangement. You know, he was a man. Chi-Chi could sense this and quickly added, if you feel like being alone for some reason, there's always Grandpa Gohan's old hut." "Yeah, that'll do, I'll sleep in there." He walked away, carrying the bed into the hut and slamming the door. Chi-Chi was left there, lost for words. She wasn't angry yet, but she was certainly something which was the opposite of happy. Very few people got under Chi-Chi's skin, but Bardock was one of those people. Maybe it was the fact that he looked so much like Goku that caused this feeling within her head, him being harsher and less friendly than her husband. Maybe that was simply too much for her brain to cope with, so she decided to start preparing food. Maybe that would win him over. After all, Saiyans really liked their food. All the smells did have an impact on the newcomer, because it made Bardock realize how much he missed eating real food. The otherworld food, I mean, it's alright, but the Afterlife cooks never quite understood the sensations that mortals craved, really. When he got to eating it though, he was left wanting Chi-Chi's cooking. In his opinion, Kakarot's life mate was just overdoing everything, boiling it too much, the whole spread. Gine, she was a natural at cooking, and Chi-Chi was not. But, for once, he didn't want to be rude. Well, ruder than he had been up to that point. So, he just ate quietly, casually saying that the food was decent and walking back to the hut. On the way back to the hut, Gohan again tried to tell him about the history of this place, of the planet, and recent happenings that might have been of interest. They were not. This boy clearly hadn't got a clue about how much he despised him. He was supposed to be smarter than Kakarot, and yet he hadn't got a single inkling that what he was talking about was completely irrelevant and unnecessary. "Hey, I don't want to burst your bubble, kid, but I'll probably forget half the things that you just told me." Gohan wasn't upset, though. He caught himself and apologized. "Oh, right, sorry. I got a little too excited. I tend to run my mouth off when I'm nervous, you see. But, yes, of course. You must be tired after, what, 40 years of being dead?" Bardock thought about this for a second. Oh yes, 40 years. Well, that can mean different things on different planets and different cultures, but this 40 years that he had spent, it felt like maybe 400,000 years. Luckily, Chi-Chi saved Bardock from having to answer Gohan's questions with another meal, which was so far the best thing he experienced since he got here, but like I said, he had eaten better in his previous tenure in the mortal realm because of Gine. It actually made him sort of miss her even more. His appetite, though, was even more ravenous than Goku's, so it gave the lady of the house a certain sense of satisfaction. Apparently, the guest liked the food, though saying thank you was still a little bit too much to ask from him consistently. Chi-Chi, of course, tried to be understanding about this. After all, the Saiyan ways of doing things were different to the way humans did stuff, and she was aware that Bardock needed time to adjust, right? It was good. Needlessly fancy, but good. Thank you. In our culture, it's customary to give good thanks for the meal. She tried to educate her father-in-law about the basics of Earth manners. Good for you, but a weird custom. Why bother? You could tell that I liked it, couldn't you? I had everything you gave me. Isn't that enough gratitude? It was a good thing that her Goku was nicer than this one. She managed to teach him some manners. Goten, however, was very disappointed. It was quite clear that he'd been looking forward to meeting his paternal grandfather, and despite this, he could just simply not find a way to connect with the guy. Gohan had tried, but Videl then promptly stopped him from trying any more, being well aware that Bardock was less than impressed with his attempts of making Earth sound exciting and fun. Listen, Gohan, don't bother. If he wants to know, he'll ask you. Gohan kept pleading to try again. Maybe he might be interested now. But in the end, he did listen to his fiancée. A few days passed, and Bardock at least learned to enjoy Mount Palzu, though mostly because of the training. And it being quiet, it was nice and remote. He could get lost in its beauty, calmness, and lack of people. But because of this, he ended up spending hardly any time with his family. Something that Chi-Chi had pointed out to Goku during his absence. I'm getting really worried, Goku. I thought that your father would be happier no longer, well, being dead. Hey, he needs time. But okay, if he keeps on being such a stick in the mud, I'll go and talk to him. I hope so. You know how much it already pains me to not say something about his rudeness. And besides, look at Goten. He's so sad. His grandfather seems like he doesn't want anything to do with him. Goku sighed loudly. Chi-Chi asserted her worries even more. Goku, I can't believe that I'm saying this, but why don't you ask Vegeta for help? He's the only Saiyan expert we've got, that we have around. And he turned out all right. Eventually. Bulma told me that he even does the dishes after most of the meals. He might have some ideas, maybe, of how to get Bardock to come around. You know what? You're right. If someone knows how to get my dad, to cooperate, it would be Vegeta. And in accordance with Chi-Chi's request, he went to Capsule Corp Goku to go and visit Bulma and the Prince. Vegeta was all ears, seeing how much Goku was struggling. So, Kakarot, how's the family reunion going? He smirked. You know what? Not all that great. He likes the food, but not much else. He mostly spends his time alone training. I don't get it. Get what? The older of the two crossed his arms. Isn't that what you do, mostly? Training alone? Yeah, but when I do it, it's different. Oh, okay. But what do you hope to achieve with him being around? Happy families? You do know that's not how things worked in Saiyan society, right? I don't know. I thought he'd be happier out of HFIL. Why was he there anyway? Goku was truly surprised as to why his dad was down there. He wasn't that bad. Vegeta sighed. I was down there as well, you know. And I had it worse. Not being allowed to keep my body. At least he got that luxury. I know, it's weird, right? You're a good guy after all. Listen, you. The point is that I killed a lot of people. Nothing can erase that, like your father did. Well, not as many as me, but maybe that's why you got us so lightly. That man's whole life revolved around invading planets and literally murdering lots of their people, all in the name of Frieza, including civilians. Goku stopped to think for a while. But he was sort of forced to do so, right? Vegeta sighed loudly. Maybe not. But that's how we were back then. If Frieza and his father hadn't come along, we probably would have gone into space and done the same thing anyway. Only on our terms. Bardock is a warrior, and people like that can get restless when there's no war to be had.
You've got to give him a purpose. Otherwise, your goodwill will come across as a punishment.
Okay, maybe I should train with him more. Is that what you suggest? Vegeta rolled his eyes.
You know what? Bring him to me. I'll knock some sense into him.
You would do that for me? Goku smiled widely.
Sure. Why not? If only to prove to you how foolish you are at being unable to connect with your own father.
And as such, Vegeta soon arrived at Mount Paozu, and from afar, he could see Bardock, just training. Goten had tried to approach him again, but was met with silence. Silence that visibly had made him upset, although the boy wasn't the one to complain. He just walked away looking a little bit mopey is all. Vegeta slowly approached Bardock, having registered Goten's somber mood.
So, enjoying life, are we?
Bardock looked to him with mild contempt.
Oh, look who decided to show up. Your Grace.
What? Are you checking in on your subject? Bardock sounded just a little bit too sarcastic for the prince's liking.
I merely happened to be in the area and thought I'd stop by. Check in.
He smiled with an equally sarcastic grin.
Well, I'm alive. No idea why, though. No idea what they want from me. I'm just here, existing. You know, you can at least show a little bit of gratitude and enthusiasm towards your own grandchildren. They were very excited to finally meet you, a part of their Saiyan legacy. If he wants my attention, then the kid should man up and demand it from me. If he's gonna be weak and submissive about it, then there's no reason for me to talk to him.
Vegeta paused for a while. Then his smile widened.
You know, as it so happens, that kid is my son's best friend. And I am well aware that if he wanted to, he could beat the crap out of you without much effort. But he chooses not to. He chooses to give you something you were never given. Kindness. So, if you're going to be an ass about it, well, they should be the one not wanting to talk to you.
Bardock only responded with a surreal expression. What was the prince jabbering on about?
Are you seriously enjoying all this? All this peace? This sterile way of living? This muzzle that they put on you? You like it? But of course, leave it to the royalty to bask in a life devoid of thrill and meaning.
The prince leaned towards Bardock.
It has far more meaning than anything you ever had. Tell me, how long did you manage to hold out against Frieza? Not very long, right?
Bardock clenched his fist. You foolish brat. I was trying to save the planet,
whilst your father was doing nothing and letting everyone die! Well, you failed miserably then. As a matter of fact, Kakarot and his family managed to save this planet from enemies stronger than Frieza multiple times. So don't talk to me about meaning. You want that and a cheap thrill? We can go. You want that?
That was it. Bardock was angered, and he decided to go for Vegeta. At least he could unload all this frustration on his smug face. He charged upon the prince and started to push him away. Chi-Chi and Goku were watching from a distance. Was this planned, Goku? She said with concern in her voice. I think so. I think this is Vegeta's fighting therapy. A man who needs therapy the most trying to do it for others. What can possibly go wrong? Said Chi-Chi with weariness in her voice. Bardock wanted to punch the prince in the face, but he was dodging his every move. His style of fighting felt vastly different to Kakarot's. While his son was much more instinctive, he could see the prince analysing his every move. But Bardock was angry and wanted to take out all of his frustration, to make at least one punch of his connect. He thought he had started to put Vegeta on the back foot, but after a while, he got to the most frustrating conclusion. The princeling was toying with him. This felt like the ultimate disgrace. So Bardock, he started to shoot ki attacks around in random directions, causing Vegeta to block said attacks. The prince then got Bardock in an arm lock, which hurt incredibly.
No! We don't do that around here. Why would you care? Because collateral damage is the coward's way out of controlling the battlefield.
Finally, Vegeta decided that he had had enough and powered up to Super Saiyan. This wasn't that surprising though to Bardock, but this time, the prince was not holding back.
The kid can do it as well, by the way. Both of them. And your son. And my son. Which makes you,
Vegeta twisted his arm even more,
the weakest surviving Saiyan.
With a loud crack, he broke Bardock's arm, who yelled in agony.
I've got some good news for you, old man. This pain is temporary. All you need to fix it is a bean to ease said pain, instead of a healing pod. Be sure to ask your son for one. Nicely.
Vegeta then threw Bardock into the dirt, leaving both Goku and Chi-Chi in disbelief. Well, good thing I actually got some of those around, Goku muttered. Was that really the right way to treat him? Well, I don't know. We better go and see how he's doing. And they then walked to the beaten warrior, whose pride was as wounded as his body was. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. If you like this story, check out the one where Frieza turned good, where all of the holiday miracles began. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!